Welcome to today's Seidokan Saturday. Obviously, last weekend, Thanksgiving, we took off, but we're back. Today's last double combination technique for Gokyu, for fifth kyu, is double circle blocks with strikes. I almost shouldn't even have to teach this. Because we already have basic blocking, the 8-point blocking. We have the 8-point blocking with strikes, right? So we already have those. And then we already know how to take my closed hand block and turn it into an open hand block where I'm parrying and then striking, and this is one of those things you'll hear I don't know who they are, but I've had comments on my videos, and the same people make comments on almost every video. You're never going to be able to grab somebody's punch. Maybe, if it's a good punch, if it's a good jab, and they're boxing style punches. But if it's the haymaker and the street fight where they're just brawling, yeah, it's pretty easy crap to grab, okay? It really is honestly fairly simple to hit somebody's arm or soften the blow as it comes in and get a hold of it. It's not as hard as people make it out. What's hard is to do it in an MMA ring or a boxing match. Of course, you can't grab with gloves anyway, but that's the concept, is I'm parrying and then following through. So our 8-point double circle blocking with strikes. First I'll go through it and then we'll talk about some of the whys, wherefores, and advantages, disadvantages, etc. So the basic blocking just in place. Number 1, closed hand would be here. Open hand, I parry and then block. Now notice this is like a knife hand block, but I'm coming from low to high in a circular follow fashion. Parry, block. From here, immediately strike. Shito to the neck, temple, etc. Okay? Then the other side, circling this way, number 2, and immediately striking. Okay? Number 3, I outward parry, and then inward knife, cross-hand knife strike. Inward parry, knife hand. Number 4, cross hand. Backhand parry, drawing in, strike the arm as it's coming, downward shito. Upward parry, number 6, knife edge, so back of hand, knife edge, rolling, striking shito to the collarbone. And then this, fairly simple, we already kind of have this in our low knife hand blocks in Pinyan Nidan. Parry, strike, chicken wrist, inward, so we're circling this direction, parry, knife hand, chicken wrist. That's our 8-point double circle blocking with strikes. Now, in the karate world, typically when we spar, what we end up with is what I call a 1-for-1, okay? So Max and I are sparring and he throws a technique and I do a one-handed something. And he throws a something, and I do a one-handed something. This is one hand to one hand. The advantage of thinking 2 hands, and it may not be the perfect exactly as I did them, but again, if he's punching, whatever it is, oh, there's my outward, good, and strike, okay? The advantage of thinking 2 is I'm immediately engaged with both hands, where he's only engaged with one. There is an Okinawan system where they almost never do this, where the hands are almost always forward and open and working in circles, and it's known as wechi ryu, or pangai non, okay? Noise factor. So in wechi ryu, or pangai non, the hands are always open and moving as they are performing their techniques. This is the concept of the double circle. You'll see a similar thing in Aikido, and again, they'll do it from the rather stilted, single, full-on, committed attack, but again, that tends to be how public violence occurs, how street fights occur, unless you square up. And if you're doing this, you're an idiot, you should have left. The only time you need to be in it is if he's fully committed on top of you, okay? So if he's doing a fully committed swing, this tends to be the Aikido. That's my number 2 block. and then we would step through and perform the standard technique. Or from the same idea, he comes in with that fully committed thing, and then I would take and go into kotegesh, arm bars, udegatame, all sorts of other stuff. But that's the idea of getting both hands engaged. So even in sparring, when we're just doing sparring and he's throwing a punch, if I can double hit, even if he throws another punch, both my hands are on this side and I'm in a position where I can strike, even in sparring. So kind of flow with it a little bit, just like regular sparring, right? 3 times I hit 1, 2, and then I hit his shoulder. Where's his balance? He's going that way, right? He does the same thing. Here, look how off balance and past him I am. Let's rotate this way. I'm in a really good position here because I got both hands moving and engaged while he was thinking singles. We typically don't want to block kicks with hands, but you will see this even in the old, remember the old Goju-ryu picture when they're wearing just their underwear in Chojun Miyagi's dojo. When he throws a kick, and we have this technique, very similar to our Seidokan 6, where we have this technique. Sometimes we do want to catch a foot. Catching a foot with just one hand, very hard to do. One of the more common ones, for example, is a roundhouse kick. And I might move so I absorb a little bit of that, and then I take and grab the kick. That's facilitated if I can double my block. So if he's doing a roundhouse kick and I double circle, that makes it much easier to grab the kick, dump him. If he's throwing a front kick, I kind of have the option of going either way I want to. And from here, you ready to break fall?
Yep.
From this position, I can just dump him. Okay, so the double circle allows me to sort of mentally speed up. It's like those superhero movies where the super fast guy starts going and you see everything around you in slow motion. That's kind of what happens. We're sparring and he's throwing single strikes and I can just parry, sparring, right? And I can just parry, right? I can just parry. But if I double, if I'm thinking 2 hands, I'm in a much stronger position immediately to counter. Right? So that's the concept. The clean application is nice and steady. Now, once we've done that, the standard footwork that I teach for the double circle blocking is cat stands going forward and back. So it would be 1 and strike, or even step in with the strike, 2, 3, 4, then we'd go backwards, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And it's allowing me to have a little more flow and get my hands working together, altering the speed of my reaction, taking more control of the single committed attack of a public violence encounter, but also conditioning myself even in sparring to get both hands involved rather than just one in that standard stoic position. Okay, that's our last doubles technique, which really, if you think about it, it's a triple. 1, 2, 3, which leads us into next week doing our triple combinations for the Gokyu level. Thanks for joining. Sorry we missed last week. Hopefully that made some sort of sense. I'm considering an adjunct vlog of a once a month thing of karate in reality context, or common complaints about karate versus reality training, blah, 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 sort of to address some of those. So if you have ideas for topics on that, please share. Like, share, subscribe, hit the bell, tell a friend, make a comment, do a good turn daily, be a Boy Scout. No, they're dead. Be a good person. Until next week, as always, thank you for joining, and let's keep practicing.